How does Adele stay relevant? With her first new single and album in over 6 years already shattering records, how is she doing it? If you're an Adele fan or you've asked yourself questions like these, then keep watching as we dive deep into Adele and her music to find out how this superstar is still at the top of her game. Let's blast off and get started. JM in your universe. Konnichiwa friends, I'm Jonathan Miller and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. I make pop music and every Wednesday on this channel I'm helping others take their music to level 2. If that sounds good, consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell, maybe giving this video a like and sharing it with a friend. My goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so if you find this video interesting, any interaction with it helps me out a ton. If not, then I will set fire to your rain. I will set fire to the rain, because that's an Adele song, and we're talking about Adele today. Yeah, no arson here. Subscribe! Alright, so let's talk about how Adele stays relevant in today's music world even after all this time. Now before we get started, I did just want to specify a couple things about me in this video. I've been a professional pop songwriter for almost 15 years now, having studied and worked in multiple music genres. I love doing deep dives like this, but please do remember that this is just my opinion at the end of the day. Yours may be different, and that's totally okay. Healthy discussion is great, especially when it comes to an exceptional artist like Adele. But with all that being said, here are my thoughts as to why Miss Adele Adkins is still so relevant even after a decade into her career. Let's get started. In order to understand Adele's ability to captivate audiences, we need to start by understanding exactly what type of music Adele makes. Adult contemporary is a special subset of popular music, typically geared for ages 25 to 45 years old. The primary function of adult contemporary music is that it needs to be catchy enough to grab the listener's attention, but not be so obstructive that it can play well as background music at a grocery store, in a restaurant, or at the office, which makes sense given its working and career age target demographic. Predominantly a ballad-driven genre, it favors a strong verse-chorus basic song structure and was originally influenced by rock, pop, R&B, soul, and easy listening music. Adult contemporary music favors rich, captivating, and romantic lyrics, emphasized by melodies and harmonies such as My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Evolving from primarily instrumental music, early AC artists from the 1960s included Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, Doris Day, and Johnny Mathis. Nowadays, AC artists that you might be familiar with include people like Celine Dion, as I mentioned before, Christina Aguilera, Phil Collins, Dionne Warwick, Michael Bublé, Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, Rachel Platten, Lionel Richie, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and of course, Adele. Adele's music is primarily ballad-driven, with a heavy focus on her big belting voice, in conjunction with musical arrangements that highlight her songwriting. From her very first album, 19, Adele wrote most of the album herself, with only the occasional co-writer on select songs. This distinct recipe right from the get-go is gold in the Western music industry, as its audience tends to favor those who write their own hits, and it helps fans feel more connected to the artists they're listening to. After Adele's demo was discovered by XL Recordings on MySpace and eventual performance on SNL, she immediately gained international attention. At that time, electropop and dance pop was the dominant sound on pop radio, and was only getting stronger as the decade came to a close. Right-wing candidate Sarah Palin happened to be the guest that night on SNL, drawing in over 17 million viewers that night, consisting of a wide age range and political demographic. Adele's age at the time offered something for teenagers to identify with and discover. Her lyrics and vocal styling made adults pay attention, and her overall music package offered something different from the heavily criticized electronic-influenced music at the time. In other words, Adele checked all the boxes and was lucky enough that enough eyes tuned in that night to cast one of the widest nets for a potential fan base. Now, Adele's music isn't all ballads. Fast forward to 2011 with the release of her song Rolling in the Deep and her album 21, Adele was able to cement her place on pop radio and AC radio. Rolling in the Deep had an up-tempo, danceable beat, blending in with artists like Rihanna, Katy Perry, and Britney Spears at the time, but it still offered Adele's vocal range and acoustic musicality that once again strategically highlighted her talents in all the ways that she needed to with the second album. This time delivering one of the best-selling albums in the entire world of all time, Adele was able to start showing more of her personality. She became the first UK female to have 3 #1 songs from the same album on the Billboard Hot 100, which meant a lot more people were now paying attention to who she was through her songwriting and all of the promo shows that she was starting to appear on more and more. Adele was unapologetically funny, fearless, witty, and when people started to question her static performances of, quote, standing and singing, she responded by saying, "I don't make music for eyes. I make music for ears." Adele's personality and her music captured the attentions of those young and old, something she was able to repeat yet again in 2015 with her album 25 and her viral hit, Hello. Part of the reason Adele can stay relevant is that her music has always been good. It doesn't rely on Vegas-style flashy showmanship to draw your attention. She commands the stage with her voice, ranging from sultry to vulnerable to energetic and everything in between. Her vocal range spans 3 rich, crystal clear octaves, which impressed many and helped her stand out when pop radio was relatively absent of big belting voices like Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. Adele was already well established by the time Ariana Grande even rose to popularity. Adele offered something for everyone at the right time when she was needed. But how, as a now 33-year-old woman at the time of this recording, in an age where everyone likes to make you think that you can age out of the music industry, which by many modern standards isn't really much of a thing anymore, able to keep people's attention? Her new album 30 and its preceding single Easy on Me have already broken numerous records, even though we've barely heard from her in 6 years. It became her 5th #1 hit, which all 5 of them now have charted at #1 for multiple weeks. Adele has employed the exact same formula that started her career. Vulnerable songwriting, plus vocal prowess, plus a captivating melody, in addition with a small amount of humor, equals Adele's special hit factory. Adele demonstrates her musical growth in her songwriting subject matter, which is exactly what captivated her original audience. In a world of pop eras where hair changes, music genre changes, and more are used to demonstrate growth, Adele only grows in lyrical strength. She's a mom and not opposed to writing about that. She's a pop star and she's not afraid to write about that either. She remains relatively quiet on social media to avoid the tabloids and comment sections, which normally would hurt an artist, but for her, it's actually helped to preserve her impressive pop status. Adele stays relevant because she's not only always remembered who her audience is, but she's always remembered the type of music that Adele makes. It's not necessarily a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's more so there's nothing really to fix in the first place. Adele is and has always been a certified adult contemporary pop star whose music draws the attention of those who pay attention to songwriting and vocal talent regardless of age range or political leaning. Even though Adele has always been outspoken about what she believes. She's a millennial who, in all actuality, is not really that old and is forcing many to challenge how they feel about aging pop stars. She's able to connect the dots in a lot of ways that others can't, and she also repeatedly cites her influences and gives credit where credit is due. Her funny personality prompts memes that flourish on the internet and help her maintain constant virality, no matter how long these gaps occur in between her albums. Adele's unique brand of authenticity and vocal talent, coupled with being a pillar of consistency, is exactly why she's just as relevant as she ever was, even after all this time. So that is my video on how Adele stays relevant. Question of the video, what are your top 5 favorite Adele songs? Leave me a comment below letting me know. If you want to check out any of my other deep dive videos on Taylor Swift or even K-pop, I've left some links in the description below so you can check those out. But if you really like me and like what I do, consider joining me on Patreon like Maddie here and all these fantastic people to get all sorts of fun rewards, including access to my YouTube calendar to see what's coming to the channel. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new. I put out new videos every single Wednesday. Once again, I'm Jonathan Miller, and I will see you next time. See you later.
I am a machine, not a robot, not operation electronically. My messages are magnetic vibrations, once a pioneer.